If you thought the TPP, NAFTA, and the USMCA were bad, just wait, there's more. I'm Christian Gomez, and you're watching JBS Straight Talk. On February 28th, the Office of the U.S. Trade Representative submitted its 2020 Trade Policy Agenda and 2019 Annual Report to Congress. This 338-page document outlines the President's 2020 Trade Policy Agenda, including future proposed trade agreements and where we currently stand on our trade obligations from past agreements. The report praises the United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement Regional Integration Scheme as a model for future United States trade agreements. And starting on page 16, it goes on to identify new trade agreements that the administration will be pursuing this year, including a free trade agreement with the United Kingdom, one with the Republic of Kenya, which is a first for Africa, and one that the report states will serve as a model for additional agreements in Africa, and with the 27-nation European Union, Japan, and reaching a Phase 2 trade agreement with the Communist Party-controlled dictatorship of China. Furthermore, the report also states on page 18 that, quote, the United States will continue to lead the effort on World Trade Organization reform, in addition to addressing the appellate body seeking a new fisheries agreement, pursuing a digital commerce agreement, enforcing notifications, obligations, and seeking reform of special and differential treatment for developing countries. The United States will advocate for other changes at the WTO that will have the WTO working for its members. The U.S. also wants to reform the WTO's dispute settlement process, noting how in the past it's infringed on U.S. sovereignty. For example, on page 7 of the report, it says, quote, the United States signed on to the Uruguay Round agreements with the understanding that its sovereignty would be respected and its existing domestic laws dealing with unfair trade practices would remain fully effective. Instead, the WTO's appellate body has imposed new rules never agreed by the United States or approved by the Congress, dramatically undermining this understanding. So rather than withdrawing from the globalist trade body, the U.S. wants to reform it, just like all of our past efforts at reforming the United Nations. Well, one of the perks of the proposed FTA with Kenya, according to the report, is that it will complement Africa's regional integration efforts, including the landmark African Continental Free Trade Area, the AFCFTA. So our goal with a U.S.-Kenya FTA is to further integrate Africa and the African Union, just like the European Union. And speaking of the European Union, the proposed US-EU FTA is basically the same idea as President Barack Obama's proposed Transatlantic Trade and Investment Partnership, TTIP, just with a different name. The EU already has 2 separate FTAs, one with Canada and one with Mexico, and we, of course, have the USMCA with both Mexico and Canada. A US-EU FTA would make it easier for globalists to leapfrog a North American Union and move straight to merge North America with the EU and create a new Atlantic Union. So much for Trump's suggestion of only pursuing bilateral trade agreements. We encourage you to contact your representative and U.S. senators and urge them to not further surrender our sovereignty to globalist trade bodies and schemes like the WTO or other agreements such as an Atlantic Union. Until next week, take care always and God bless.